All right. So this is video blog number 3. This is the third entry of me showing my process in Photoshop and Lightroom, and this is so I'm saved the image, so it's back in Photoshop, and here's a comparison between the two images, the before and after. As you can see, it's very light. It's barely anything needs to be done, and basically nothing was done to it. It's very light. So once again, I'll remind that I just removed a few pimples here, maybe lightened just a little bit of the shadows, removed the cast that was created by the contact lens that you can see like here. So that's the contact lens that I had kind of removed. And that was pretty much it. The reason, of course, I mean, and if it was a full body image, I would not even see this, it would be completely irrelevant. But because it's a close-up, and it's a close-up of a face with very wide aperture, so the fact that the eyelashes and the part of the eye in focus is the main thing about this image. That's the thing that people are going to see most. So I wanted to make sure that this is not there and it's not distracting to people. I really didn't do anything to her lips. I could have done something here, but really doesn't bother me that much. Once again, this is I'm a portraitist. I'm not creating makeup ads, which I find to be over retouched pretty much every single time. I'm not a fan of that aesthetic. I feel like this is the aesthetic of the makeup ads is anti-humanist. They do not love people, and I'm a portraitist. I love people, and I love what makes us human. And this, the tiny little imperfections are certainly, and tiny little hairs, and stuff like that. That's exactly that's a part of it. Alright, so now I'm going to show you my black and white work, specifically how I change images to black and white. So we're going to open it up, we're going to go to Develop module. Now I have a bunch of presets that some of them I created myself, some of them I downloaded, but literally I really do not use them pretty much ever. Most of the time when I use presets is when I prepare the previews to send to proofs to clients, because sometimes I do not want to send the client straight from the camera look. I might throw a little bit of just to show them where I'm planning on taking the image. So this is where this preview prep, all of those are. They're really made for my raw file. So it's really for this image, and I would use the preview prep, and I would maybe black and white standard, or this is window backlight, because basically I'm just telling you like this is usually looks this preset looks decent when there is window backlight. There is a color with spotlight lighting, with, let's see, when I use spots. Blue orange is when I do this whole gel thing, or mixed lighting, mixing tungsten and strobe lighting. So that's for that. Bedsheet is actually for those occasions when I use one of my light modifiers, which is actually an old bedsheet that happens to have like a little warmish cast to it, and so that usually makes it pop and look a little better. This is Red Hat Studio, and that's specifically for redheads. That's for my shadow dragging, stuff like that. So this is just kind of like all the different little things that help me to make the raw file pop a little bit for the clients when they see the proof images. Realistically, that's pretty much the only time I use presets, because my real work was usually happens right around here. This is where I do most of my work. So now we're gonna look at the retouched image, and so what I'm gonna do is I'm just gonna change my treatment to black and white, and it pretty much already looks just fine to me. But usually the things, I mean, I'm a darker photographer, I have a dark aesthetic, I call myself a noir photographer for a reason. So even in this naturally lit image, I probably will darken some things. So usually I'm just lowering the exposure. Relatively speaking, I try to overlight the images a little bit, meaning so not to so that because I know that it's very easy for me to make image darker. It's usually a lot harder to make things lighter. So usually I would say I'm probably like, my goal is to be like half a stop to a stop overexposed, maybe like half a stop overexposed on most images, because overexposed is opposed to what I actually want to achieve. So I'm going to darken things a little bit, then I'm going to bring out a little bit of highlights Bring the highlights back. I'm looking at the image here and here too. It is very important for me to see what the image is going to look like, both little and small. The way I see it on my giant screen might be very, very pretty, but it might not look good when seen small. And sometimes just happens like that. Since most people are going to see it small on their portable mobile devices, on their phones and stuff like that, it's important to keep it in mind that if I'm shooting basically for Instagram, which is 75 to 80% of the time, and that includes both my Instagram and the model's Instagram, it is more important to make sure that the image looks good small. If I'm shooting for an art print that I'm putting on a gallery wall, then of course the large this version is going to be more important, and how it looks small is significantly less important. So anyway, so here we go here. So I'm gonna mess with this. I might pop the clarity a little bit, might not. Clarity obviously makes things pop, but usually makes skin texture a little rough. So I'm usually don't play with that too much. Probably will darken the darks a little bit. Maybe lighten the whites. No, I'm gonna leave the whites intact. Shadows. It's basically that's all I do. It's just like move it a little bit until it looks kind of right, and then maybe I notice something else. So for example, I noted that there's this thing here that's kind of a little bit of a hot spot here. I can try to just something like this, and just decrease the highlights in that very area just a little bit. I'll hide it and slide it around a little bit. No, that's too rough, so I'm not happy with the way that's going. Let me delete it. So I'm not happy with that. I might go back to Photoshop actually. So here we go. So I've noticed something in little hotspots. So when I'm increasing the highlights, this jumps at me. So I'm just gonna go back in Photoshop, but I'm just gonna open the original. So instead of opening a copy, I'm just gonna open the original, which is right there. And so as you can see, it's not really overexposed, but it is overexposed when I start processing it. So one of the ways to there's a quick shortcut way that I have. Of course, I can go into dodge and burn layer and start dodging and burning and messing with that. But there is a very quick shortcut for me that I don't know how many people use, but I just select all. So it's just like I just press Control A on my computer, but it's select all. And copy merge. So I've copied all of them together. So all of this are merged in the memory of the program. Then I just paste it right on top. So now we have identical image. This contains all of those. And then I'm just going to take Hard Hill, retouch this spot away completely. Try to do a decent job. You're not trying to create, but yeah, I'm completely removing the entire highlight here. And then I'm just going to lower opacity of this layer until I'm happy with it. Because I want to see a little bit of the highlight because it's natural. But I want to see the whole thing. Alright, that's good. So I just kind of decrease the highlight a little bit. 1, 2. Let me look at it again. Yeah, that's pretty good. I'm pretty satisfied with it. So that's it. I'm just gonna go back, save that, and here we go. So it's a lot less apparent now. So anyway, I'm pretty happy with that. I usually do not increase any much stuff with eyes. I know some photographers like to put lots of different effects on the eyes. I usually don't. Maybe I mean if this were, I might. Well, fine. Let's check. I'm gonna just play with the highlights, and I'm just gonna increase the. I'm not gonna mess with the iris. I'm just gonna play a little bit with the catch light itself, and let's see where it's painting a little more flow. Just a little bit, just in these areas. Alright. And I'll just play with the highlight. Maybe bring it out just a little bit. like that, just to make it pop a little bit more. But now it doesn't quite match this one, so we're just gonna do slightly the same here. So highlights, maybe just bring it up just a touch. Alright, so I can create a virtual copy and reset it and just do simple black and white conversion. And just to show you what the difference is between the simple just switching to black and white mode and what I've done. So here we go, it's max before and after. As you can see, I'm very, very light. I do not really abuse neither Lightroom nor Photoshop. Now we're gonna start working on crops. But this is it. This is my post work in Lightroom, and it's pretty much ready for sharpening and good to go. Sometimes sharpen it in Photoshop, so I can sharpen it here, of course, or I can sharpen it in Sharpener Pro 3, which is the old school. I don't even remember what it's Nick. I think it was Nick plugin or something like that. But I got it like forever ago. The one was the bundle of Silver FX, Sharpener Pro. So sometimes I sharpen it there. But it's ready for sharpening. It's pretty much ready, good to go. The next important part of this is crop, and I kind of talked about it before. I had a whole post about cropping, but I wanted to talk about it a little more probably, and so I'm thinking about making another video blog and show you how we're going to play with crops in this image. All right, thank you so much, and hope to hear some feedback, and feel free to ask away any questions. All right, thank you.